Welcome to Asian Edo on May 23rd, when Zhai Yiying calmly typed the sentence, "Don't blame Zhu, she's just here to do her job." Why did that single line feel colder, sharper, and far more terrifying than the endless public meltdowns that usually consume the short drama industry? Because in a world where every scandal immediately becomes a performance of victimhood, wasn't her refusal to throw anyone under the bus almost unnervingly abnormal when the production team officially announced that she would withdraw from Day and Night 2 and that Zhai Yiying would replace her as the female lead? The internet reacted exactly as expected, didn't it? Fans exploded with accusations, gossip accounts rushed to invent conspiracies, and people immediately began hunting for villains because modern audiences seem physically incapable of believing that complicated situations can exist without someone deserving public execution. Isn't that true? Some blamed the production team for forcing her out, while others dragged Hae-in into the chaos by accusing him of disrupting schedules. Yet why did Zhai Yiying herself become the only person in the entire situation who refused to weaponize outrage? Wouldn't it have been easier for her to gain sympathy by allowing the internet to continue attacking everyone else on her behalf? Wouldn't one vague emotional post about pressure, sacrifice, or disappointment have instantly transformed her into another tragic heroine sacrificed by the industry machine? Instead, she cut through the noise with brutal simplicity, didn't she? Private reasons, my own issue, do not involve anyone else. Sounds almost emotionless at first glance. Yet isn't that precisely why the statement feels so powerful? Because beneath those cold words hides an uncomfortable truth that most people in entertainment desperately avoid admitting. Doesn't there? The short drama industry does not stop moving for anyone, no matter how famous, beloved, or profitable they become. Does it every single day? Dozens of productions collapse before reaching audiences, budgets burn through six figures overnight, schedules shift like unstable fault lines beneath exhausted crews, and actors themselves essentially become financial risks wrapped in human skin. Don't they? Under those conditions, what exactly would waiting indefinitely for one available actress accomplish except dragging an entire production into disaster? That is why the production team's statement may have been the cruelest sentence of all, wasn't it? We cannot make the whole crew and 5 actors wait forever. Sounds practical on the surface. Yet doesn't it quietly expose the ruthless mathematics hidden beneath every entertainment project? No matter how emotionally attached fans become, the industry ultimately calculates survival in schedules, investment windows, platform deadlines, and availability grids rather than loyalty, doesn't it? And perhaps Zhai Yiying understood this reality better than most people wanted her to. Didn't she? By stepping back before filming fully collapsed, accepting a reduced special appearance role instead of clinging to the leading position, and allowing the production enough time to rewrite and recover, wasn't she essentially choosing controlled damage over public destruction? People online keep calling her graceful, but is grace really the correct word here, or was this actually nothing much colder, more strategic, and therefore far more intelligent? Because in the short drama world, refusing to publicly assign blame does not necessarily mean kindness alone, does it? Sometimes it means understanding that today's enemy may become tomorrow's collaborator, today's controversy may become tomorrow's blacklist. And one emotionally satisfying public fight can silently poison years of future opportunities. Can't it? Unlike celebrities who weaponize fan wars to protect their image, Zhai Yiying seemed to understand that preserving professional trust might matter far more than winning temporary sympathy. Didn't she? And honestly, isn't that what makes the entire situation so unsettling? The entertainment industry often rewards noise, victim narratives, and carefully manufactured emotional chaos because outrage generates engagement faster than maturity ever could, doesn't it? Yet here stood someone refusing to feed the machine despite knowing perfectly well that silence rarely earns applause online. So what does that reveal about her understanding of power? Perhaps the truly dangerous people in this industry are not the loudest ones, but the calmest ones. Aren't they the actors who know exactly when to retreat, exactly how to preserve relationships, and exactly how to leave a collapsing situation without staining themselves publicly? Often survive far longer than the ones who desperately need the internet to validate their pain, don't they? Meanwhile, her new project, The Love Letter in the 25th Time Zone, had already begun filming in Chengdu on May 16 without losing momentum at all. So doesn't that alone reveal how carefully she handled this transition behind the scenes? If her reputation had truly suffered catastrophic damage, would major productions still continue moving forward around her with such confidence? Probably not. Right? And then there is Zhai Yiying herself, suddenly thrown into a battlefield she never personally created. Isn't there? How terrifying must it feel to inherit a role already emotionally claimed by another actress's fan base before filming even properly begins? No matter how talented she might be, wouldn't audiences initially stare at her face, searching not for her own performance, but for traces of someone else they already imagined in the role? Yet isn't that also the cruel nature of acting itself? Characters do not belong permanently to anyone, no matter how iconic a casting choice initially seems, do they? If the rewritten version succeeds, if the emotional beats still land, if the chemistry still works, won't audiences eventually accept the new face the same way they always do? Because viewers claim loyalty to actors, but deep down, aren't most people ultimately loyal to emotional satisfaction above everything else? The internet loves framing situations like this as moral dramas filled with heroes and villains, yet reality often feels much less romantic, doesn't it? Sometimes people simply calculate risk, protect future collaborations, minimize financial collapse, and move forward before disaster grows larger than control itself. Isn't that the actual truth? And maybe that truth feels uncomfortable because it destroys the fantasy that the entertainment industry runs on action rather than survival, doesn't it? Still, compared to endless scandals, ruined productions, public blame games, and careers burned alive through ego wars, isn't there something strangely refreshing about watching someone choose controlled detachment instead of theatrical destruction? Not warm, not emotional, not noble perhaps, but undeniably effective. Wouldn't you agree? So if you were standing in her position, holding a guaranteed hit sequel capable of exploding your popularity even further, would you really let it go quietly for private reasons? Or would you force an entire production to freeze and wait until your schedule aligned again? And perhaps the more disturbing question hiding beneath all of this is whether professionalism in modern entertainment has slowly become indistinguishable from emotional coldness itself, hasn't it? Thank you for watching the video, goodbye and see you again.